What is up, guys? We are doing a quick little video right now showing you Pan of the American version. All right, this is 54 cards, and I think 54 is the smallest amount we can go with. You're going to notice only 2 Overwhelm and only 2 Negates. Besides that, it's kind of a generic list, but there's some cards that gain some value that make it even better. So what makes this build slightly better than the previous build is this build can be far more aggressive with our energy because we have access to Senzu Bean. That means on our kill turn, which is primarily turn 3, we can just keep doing stuff. Zenkai cards are unbelievably powerful, and the ability to always have access to them means we always have a bomb. So I'm going to show you what changes in the deck and then what we get to keep. So of course, we've got this amazing Pan. This is the card that is primarily your play and then attack. This is kind of like your turn 2 bread and butter, and it's very good. So this card lets you look at your top 5 with a Saiyan. The reason why this card has been reduced to 3 is we have a lot less Saiyans, so the odds of us whiffing or missing, it went up. So we don't necessarily want 4, and that does mean frequently we're not going to have a turn 1 play, but that's okay. Because we have this Pan. This Pan is 100% infinitely better than she ever was, thanks to Hercule and Majin Buu. This is a card we'll be bringing back to our hand frequently, and it is just insane value. Whenever you play it, you get to draw a card. So that's the important part. Even if you've already used your leader ability, she is free to replace herself. We're going to use this card a lot. We, of course, have our 4-drop. We are in love with this card. This is one of the big reasons, and still our best turn 2 play. Attacking with this guy, and then getting to untap and draw an additional card, so a +1 by the end of the turn with 2 attacks and 2 Zenkai energy. Pretty much the perfect thing we could ask for. The only thing to keep in mind is our red energy has gone down. So you'll notice here we only have legal targets are only this top row. So about half the deck is going to be his cards, which means frequently we can't rely on him to put Zenkai energy in. He's still a great turn 2 play. He just may not hit any Saiyans. That's okay. We, of course, now have Heartfelt main. The reason why is we have access to Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean can give any of our cards that are already a 15k, thanks to our leader ability, become 20. Add on a Bean, every single card in the deck, with the exception of Crown, is going to trigger Heartfelt. So that's pretty exciting. This is going to be an easy way to cast it on our turn 3, and so we get that good aggression to kill our opponent. On top of amazing cards, we've got Brawly. Brawly is usually a 2 of anyway. He is this amazing card right here. I realize you can't see it because of my face, but this card will let you win a lot of games against blue and yellow because they keep energy open for you to use defensive strategies. So we can see what the defensive strategy is and get around it thanks to this card. What makes it a little bit better is we can also then play cards like Majin Buu during our turn, and then we can put that Brawly back into our hand for the following turn. And it's even better when your opponent knows it's coming, because then they might purposely tap out thinking, well, hey, what's the worst that could happen? And then we'll kill them. So great play. This is because of yellow. Well, this is your first card you always side out. It's Vegeta Resolve Renewed. Very strong card, very good. But what really makes this card stand out is that now, just like the previous one, we can bounce with Majin Buu, and if we bounce it, we can play it again. So whenever we can bounce cards and then replay them, it just makes everything so much better. I am super excited about this deck, in large part because of this card, in conjunction with Majin Buu. Same thing goes for Goten. We talked about it in the earlier. It's a limit 1, so 3 is plenty, as I found out my other build. But this is a lot more appealing because now we have extra energy in theory in our deck because we can afford to tap out. So we can actually use this neg 20 effect, which we never used before. So it gives us a little bit more ability to use our energy. I've already talked about this card. He's a 19k. He draws a card when he comes into play. He negs a battle card. And then, of course, he can bounce any card that is not Hercule and Buu, I believe, right? Yeah, it's just one of your other cards, right? I thought there was a cost associated, but it says one of your other red or blue. Wow, that's strong. You guys already know Cooler if you've played this game. If not, welcome. It's a fun game. Cooler is fantastic. Cooler is so good because he ignores barrier, and one of the tricks to beat in Pan right now is barrier cards because we can't kill barrier. So now we can. What also makes this card really cool is that we do make your opponent mill a card, and in this format, that extra 1 mil can cause someone to deck out. So nice little strategy because we could play multiple copies of this card in conjunction with this other card we added called Combo Attack Cooler. Now, if you've seen any of my other previous lists, this should not be a 3.5 out of 12. This card should be 100% a 5. We just, as many times as I can, I want to click it. The reason why is you just get to bring back your Cooler, and I think it's only Cooler in our deck, which is completely fine. You bounce Cooler, and then you get to play this Combo Attack Cooler, and he gets to combo for free. As we talked about already, comboing is the purpose of Zenkai. It's what the format's all about. So now, during like your defensive turn, you obviously can play the Zenkai energy. You can use it. You're happy. When you use the super combo, it'll go to your Zenkai energy. Then you'll cast that card. You'll attack with that card. Well, then later on throughout the game, once you put that red-blue card in your drop, this becomes like an insane turn 4 play because you get to play it, bounce a Cooler, attack with it. It'll already be a 20k base thanks to your leader ability. But what will make it even more exciting is we can replay that Cooler, and then at the end of that combat, the combo card will just go straight to our Zenkai, and we'll have a 30k body who played a battle card for free, effectively. It's just very hard to deal with, and the fact it's a 3 cost makes it very good against a lot of counterplays. So, big fan. The last thing we'll talk about real quickly is probably my thumbnail for the day. We will just save this image right now. Boom. This baby is what we need. It is 100% the right answer. Senzu Bean is probably the best card in red. I'm going to say that again. It's the best card in red. The reason why is red has a large amount of low resource costs because they can't manipulate energy. So red gets the best 2 drops in the game. This has been happening ever since the first anniversary came out when we got a Trunks who used to draw cards throughout the turn. We also got, I believe it was a Yamcha who also did the same thing and just drew cards. Up until that point, no 2 drops in the game would ever draw cards. It was primarily a 3 and 4 drop or 1 drops with no attack power. Red got it because, hey, if you can't manipulate resources, what's the danger? Well, the danger is a little bit of Splash of Bean. And I already showed you the other card. We have this Vegeta. This lets us be on turn, which means that if we know our opponent's going to tap out, which frequently most people do in this game, we can afford to play a red-blue energy on turn 2, and it won't even slow us down. This card can ignore its energy exhaust, and then what makes it even more exciting is the fact that it's actually a really good counterplay. This card is playable. It lets you bottom deck your opponent's resources, and then it's very big. If you figure it out, it's 3k per card in your energy, which is really awesome because you're going to have 4 energy pretty frequently. So that's like a 22k for 2 energy. That's not bad. Of course, we can't run this, and that's what I want to talk about. Now, we can run it. I'll say it like that. We can run this card because it says here, all you have to be is a mono red Saiyan and overwhelm 6. You can summon the card as just a 40k. That's not bad, but it's not as good as this card. Now, I could see an argument here for Pan. Pan would be very good utility, and I am not going to argue with you against that because Pan is always a good option. However, I like to kill my opponents, so we're going to play the God Rare. This God Rare is amazing, and we'll have to find a damaged copy so we can play it at Nationals. If you've got one, hit me up. I doubt it, though. So this card is so good because it's going to cost us 4 energy effectively to win the game 99% of the time. The reason why, our turn 3 normally would be to summon this card and bring our opponent to 3 life. And then attack with this card. Most opponents are going to go to 1 and then bothers to defend the remaining attacks. Well, at that point, they're at 1, guess what? Boom, we've won the game. Just drop this card. He lets us play it, and then we remove the card from the game, kill everything my opponent has, ignoring barrier, and then make your opponent lose a life. It's just everything we possibly could want. But if that wasn't enough, let's just say we're behind. Like against some red decks, we have to be defensive. We have to worry about their board state. We have to do a lot of things that aren't as much fun. This bad boy will let us just swing into a leader, and if they don't have a negate, triple strike. We can combo against a leader that's at 4 life, all the cards in our hand. And if they take it, just activate his ability after. It also gives his opponent a negative 5k. That might be the reason this is even better in Pan. I've shown you guys a few games already. We play a lot of body cards. If our opponent's only a 10k and we drop this, even if all we can do is just sacrifice it immediately when it comes into play, because we're afraid of, like, against yellow, for example, we don't want to attack our opponent against yellow and be like, hey guys, guess what we're going to do? Get final flashed. No, we're just going to play it, neg, and then make them lose a life. Well, at that point, Pan can just go in and deal the rest of the damage herself with the help of her friends. So it's very nice to have this kind of utility. And then also, blue in general is currently the deck winning regionals. I don't get how SS3 is doing it. I think that deck is terrible. Clearly, the players playing it must be the best that are in the game, because I just don't have a clue how they're winning. Or I've just not seen a good build. I'm not sure. Regardless, if your opponent plays Majin Buu, this is a great answer to it, especially if, let's say, they're at 3 or even 4 life. Like, this feels very good to drop SSB, get rid of the Buu, and then have the rest of your turn to do attacks. Like I said, these are my favorite cards, but if you got something else, we can try it. But I think this is my base for Red Pan. I'm going to run some games on Untap and tell you how I did.